Welcome, fair listeners. This is Bourbon, Wine, and True Crime, a podcast where three idiosyncratic but enchanting friends sit down once a week-ish to gossip about a bunch of bullshit and some horrible true crime cases. I'm Randi.
I'm AJ.
And I'm Sunny.
We're together!
Miss you guys so much.
Miss you.
We are in lovely, sunny, mountainy Denver.
We're seeing the sights.
We're going to use the word lovely very
loosely.
Very loosely. You interpret that how you want.
You know what? When you see a decaying bird carcass, you're kind of like, there's a beauty in that because of life and death.
Because sometimes death is a gift.
Yeah, sometimes it is, especially when you're in Denver. So it's
I live in Colorado Springs and Denver is not what I was expecting. I'm just gonna leave it at
you know what though? We are seeing raw humanity and it's something that I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we introduce ourselves a little bit further?
We should. So if you're new to listening, welcome. We are so glad that you are joining us today. My name is AJ. I'm the witch.
My name is Randi and I'm the vet.
And I'm Sunny. I am the no fun scientist.
No fun.
No fun.
No fun.
I think you're the most fun scientist I know, which I'm not sure what that says for other scientists that I'm friends with.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some bummer dinner parties. I tell you what.
I tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
When there's 8, it's like Woodstock.
Yeah.
So when the geologists come, it's like it's a real rock party.
Oh, stop it. I cannot with you right now.
Just kidding.
So I have a funny story for me and Sunny. So for those of you that don't know and aren't watching on YouTube, I have a massive Star of David on my arm. And one day me and Sunny were at a bar and these two very drunk men come up to us. And it's the drunk to where you have to like keep catching yourself because you're leaning and you have no balance. And this drunk guy is trying to hit on Sunny and he looks over at me and he goes, "Are you Jewish?" And I'm like, "No, why?" And he goes, "You have a Jew star on your arm." I'm like, "What? Where?" He's like, "Right there." And I'm like, "You didn't tell me that's what it meant."
And I was like, I just thought it was cute. I didn't know. And these two poor, very drunk men were alarmed.
And then they left, which is what we wanted.
Yes, which was perfect.
So
mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
And one of my favorite things actually goes back to when AJ and I first met. It was, well, there's the initial meeting, which I know was me bouncing on you like Tigger.
An assault.
but afterwards, where we immediately we could tell that there was something there. So then we went to Einstein Brothers Bagels and we had a schmear.
A bagel and schmear.
And this is how I knew that this was like friends for a lifetime, because we had just met and we sat there talking in our like best schmear accents for like an hour and a half.
Eating our bagels.
And just, terrifying everyone around us. And it was a beautiful thing. It made me very happy.
I agree. Funny story. So Randi and I were both in Sunny's wedding, and she insisted on wearing this rather large ball gown as her wedding dress, which was
so that no one can get near me.
She had a
practical measure.
It was
tactical
social
and
distancing
practical.
before social distancing was a thing. It was very effective. It was like 10 feet all around. No one could get to her, but she had to pee. She had to pee real bad. And so when you have that big of a dress, you need some help going to the bathroom. So assisting Sunny up the narrow staircase, lifting the dress so she could sit and go pee. And we're like,
yeah, literally just,
you know what, that's what God's friendship
that is true love.
That is true love.
That is true love for your
right
friends
there.
right there.
We got you, sis.
So many more stories to come. We have an arsenal of stories.
I feel like that could just be our intro if it was just funny stories.
It really could. We could go on for a while.
Yeah, and it gets,
but it does tie into our theme for this week.
It does rather well.
People are like, "Why are you telling stories?" Oh, we'll feed you, baby Prince. Don't worry.
Our theme this week is killed by my best friend. Well, okay, I can't say
I killed my best friend.
Or I killed my best friend. Mine wasn't assaulted by my best friends. We'll work on the title. This exclusive.
It's a friends thing.
It's best friends.
And I intentionally sort of misunderstood the assignment because my story is real good.
Ooh.
So as best friends, this is I killed my best friend episode. But what are we drinking to? Are we drinking today?
I'm doing basic white girl. I'm drinking White Claw.
We are going way off script this week.
Same.
No laws without White Claw.
And then I have a red wine in a coffee cup.
White Claw in a coffee cup.
Yeah, so we're doing we're classy.
We're doing this.
And we should note that it is 10:26 Mountain Standard Time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It is. Cheers.
Cheers, ladies. Love you.
Love
to
you.
kill my second White Claw, and it's not even noon.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? This is Sunday, and I'm on vacation.
Isn't it noon in like 12:30 in New York?
It's it is
All right,
one.
cool. That's all I
Yeah,
needed
it's
to know.
12:30. Yep.
It's 12 o'clock somewhere.
It is. I know we moved it up a little bit, and it's like it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I was like, you start at 5.
What kind of heathen shit is that?
What is that? All right.
All right, so obviously this is going to be a little bit different than usual because we are finally together.
Mhm. So we're squeezing into one frame. We're making it work. Thankfully, we all showered this morning and put on deodorant.
Wait,
so
you showered?
I did.
Did we do that?
Wait,
I think you showered. You smell good.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's okay.
Hit check. Okay.
So I realize I'm going way off script right now, but I was having a discussion with some people I worked with recently because it's been absolutely bonkers. And we were talking about, do you ever do the check of like, all right, when's the last time everyone showered? And so then it was, well, my grandma always told me that you just needed to do an airplane bath. And I was like, what is that? And then she said, the pits and engine. And then someone else was like, oh, mine always just told me you just do the French bath where you just spray a lot of perfume and walk through it. And I was like, well, if we get to the point where we're doing French airplane baths, then we might need to reevaluate kind of how we're living
our
lives.
lifestyles. Yeah. One of my colleagues I work with says you just get your pits and slit.
Oh God,
That is foul.
no!
That is
I like the airplane bath
Your pits and slits. Or if you're Bert Kreischer, the comedian, he's like, go take a horse bath. Pits and pussy, pits and pussy.
Everyone stop listening.
I know, they're like, no.
First we lost the French people. Like, what the fuck's that supposed to mean?
But AJ, I know you always have a doozy of a case.
I
So-
do. So I usually go first in the rotation, and I'm happy to do so this time. This case is real crazy. I will say there's some trigger warnings up front. Least of all, murder, rape, suicide, and some racist tones going on in this case.
You just had to incorporate everything.
I did. So this is a case of a man who killed his best friend at his best friend's request.
Buckle up, buttercup. Shit's about to get real.
All right. So I'm going to tell you the story today about Cho and Lee. So Cho and Lee were both from South Korea. Okay. And this story takes place in Anaheim, California. Okay. So Cho and Lee, they first met as kids around the age of 13 when they were still living in Korea. They've been friends ever since. Cho described Lee as his closest friend from junior high school all the way till now in court papers. I should preface this by saying this is a court case where it was finalized in 2017. It's fairly recent. It's a fairly
Okay.
recent case. Another junior high school friend of theirs, Seong Hen Hong, described in court a clear dynamic to the friendship. Even when they were young, Lee always wanted to win, and Cho is sometimes kind of foolish. Sometimes he's been manipulated by others very easily, and he doesn't know how to say no to other people. He added that Lee was more of a leader and that Cho would do whatever he said. I don't feel like there's a dynamic like that in our friendship.
Dude, could you imagine?
Can you imagine?
Oh,
Do what I
If-
say.
Okay.
You can. I'll tell you what you can do
Oh, yeah.
with that information.
Yeah, that is not how our friendships work.
Not even.
Okay.
And it seems like it's common that that's kind of a thing, like with what's her face, the child killer, like where she had her best friend who was
One
kind
of
of
the,
like
the first case you did.
Oh yes, very much so.
Mary Bell.
Mary Bell. Mhm.
Yeah, where
The
she
Tyneside
had kind
Strangler.
of where she had kind of the
She was the domineering one.
Mhm.
Yep. And the
So-
other one was listed as slow
And unattractive.
and
And
unattractive.
unattractive.
Yeah. I need some more White Claw if I'm going to get through this case.
Okay,
Anyway,
you got one, baby.
Hold, please.
Can you do the thing?
Okay,
I
well,
got my nails done because they changed the regulation, so now I'm less functional.
so yeah, and mine are not fully bitten off. That's about
That's a
the
bonus.
aesthetic that I've got.
Okay, so Lee and Cho even carried gifts at each other's weddings. So it's like the equivalent of being a best man in Korea. They would carry the gifts for each other when they got married. Over the years, Cho distanced himself from Lee. So Lee is the dominant one. Cho is the one that can be kind of manipulated. and they talked less frequently. Cho was working with an engineering company that made ship parts, and Lee was working with his mother in a hotel business, but their histories formed a bond that was hard to shake. Quote, "I tried to end the friendship a few times," Cho said in court, "but it didn't happen. Couldn't end the friendship that I have with him. It's kind of like a relationship with your wife."
You can't end those.
I just cannot end it. It's weird. It doesn't
Divorce
happen.
is not an option.
Gee, you married her. I'm sorry.
It's like there needs to be some kind of magical way to separate yourself from.
I wonder if there's a legal
Yeah, I wonder
way
if
to
there's
do
like
that.
yeah. So interesting.
So interesting. You just say, "I don't want to be your friend," as we've done before with other people. Throughout, according to Cho, Lee's depression. So Lee falls into a depression. His businesses aren't doing well. His wife leaves him, and her and the children move to New Zealand. So this is Lee's wife. She leaves him, and so he falls into a big depression. Then his mother dies, and like she was his rock, his mountain that he leans on, and so that further just spirals him into like sadness and desperation. He was very despondent, and he would constantly say that he couldn't live. So Lee comes and visits the United States to visit Cho in 2010, and he brought up the subject of suicide to his friend about wanting to die. But he didn't want to kill himself, Cho explained, that the shame in the Korean culture around suicide runs deep. Despite the fact that South Korea consistently has one of the highest suicide rates in the world, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. In Seoul, the city government recently even created plans to raise the guardrails on Maple Bridge, which had earned the nickname Suicide Bridge because of a large number of people throwing themselves to their death in the Han River.
Oh, geez.
But don't commit suicide, boys and girls.
Therapy
or
is
die
important.
by suicide.
Therapy is important.
Die by suicide. I think that's the
I think
appropriate way to
it's
say.
no, it's yeah, it's either die by suicide
suicide.
or was a I forget. Yeah, it's not committed.
I'm fairly certain it's died by suicide.
Yeah.
Okay, so still, if Lee had killed himself, Cho told the court, it would bring shame to his family. It was a sin against his ancestors, and Lee had a life insurance policy that suicide would nullify. He wanted to find someone to kill him. Cho tried to brush it off at first, and while Lee was in town, the two men out went nightly, drinking, dinner, gambling, and Lee paid for everything. Lee was the one with all the money. Okay, and Cho was scraping by a very meager living with his wife and 2 daughters, but they were happy. They were settling in Anaheim. Like, things were good.
Yeah.
They just weren't wealthy.
Yeah.
But they had a happy life. Cho made $10 an hour as a welder.
Jeez.
It was kind of like my rich friends in town and we're going to live it up. Cho told Lee that he had talked about hiring a hitman, but didn't know if he could trust somebody. Like, I'm going to give you all this money, and then what if you don't go through with it? So finally, Lee asked Cho straight out, "Lee, would you kill me?" So would you kill me if I asked you?
I think if you had a chronic illness,
Yeah.
I would.
Yes. Agreed.
Because we
Like,
talked
there's no
about
quality of life. There's no bringing back quality of life. Like,
well, because I know we had talked about this before. Dementia runs in my family, and I've had a lot of head trauma. And I was like, look, if I get to a point where I don't remember where I live, just.
But I think those are the conversations that are important.
Let me die happy.
to yeah.
Get me drunk. Get me just super happy, and just give me a poison or something and just let me fall asleep and die. That's my plan. We'll put it in writing. It'll be in the contract.
Yeah, no, it'll be good.
Okay, it's in my will.
It's in my will.
Just call me Kevorkian.
So Cho told Lee that he was talking crazy, but Lee was serious, and he had already wrapped up his affairs in Korea. He was ready. Cho told his friend, "You're killing me. Asking me to do this is also killing me." There was one other detail Cho told. So after everything gets, you know what? I'm going to circle back to this. We're gonna come back to that part of the story.
Okay.
At some point, Lee brought up the fact that Cho had borrowed $2,000 from him, and it was for a deposit on a new apartment for he and his family. And at some point, they're drinking and gambling, and then Lee tells him, "Hey, I want my money back. You need to pay me back. Nothing is free." So Lee is like, "Okay. So what do you want me to do?" So Lee asks for collateral from Cho. He wanted Cho's wife.
Yeah, I mean, just women are property. It's fine.
What do you mean he wanted Cho's wife? He wanted to be able to sleep with Cho's wife. That was the collateral.
Is he
He
doing
put
that?
his wife up as collateral.
Does he do that in retaliation because he wouldn't kill him?
Not yet.
Okay.
So they drew up a contract. They wrote it down on a hotel stationery.
Oh.
And it
She-
said if Cho couldn't pay the money back in 2 days, Lee could have sex with Cho's wife.
Was she involved?
Was she part of this contract?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
A few nights later, the two men were again drinking, this time at Cho's house. According to court papers, Cho's wife came home from work late from her waitressing job. Woman's been on her feet all day, serving people, like slinging food. She comes home. You just want to take a bath and like go to bed.
Eat some Skittles.
Eat some Skittles.
Or Takis.
We're talking. Shut. You guys. I hate you guys.
So
Who
Cho,
started it?
his wife came back from work. She took a shower and went to bed. And the men kept drinking and stayed up till about 2 a.m. Cho finally goes to bed and he falls asleep next to his wife. But then he hears a noise that woke him up. In the dark, he reached his hand over to his wife and instead he touched Lee's leg. Cho opened his eyes just barely to look and Lee had snuck into their bed. He came, quote, this is a quote, he came to my wife naked, Cho said in court transcripts. He was touching my wife's body. My wife's pajamas was all rolled up to her breasts.
Vomit.
It gets worse. It gets
why
worse.
you gotta do this?
Cho pretended to be asleep.
Oh.
Excuse me?
Cho pretended to be asleep. Let me take a drink after that.
Okay.
Lee continued to touch and molest Cho's wife.
And he's
She-
just laying there.
And he's just laying there
Bro,
pretending
get
to be asleep.
fucked.
She later said in the court that she had tried to fight him off, but was too ashamed to wake up her husband.
He was already awake.
He was already awake. Cho listened to it all, facing the wall, his back to them. Quote, I couldn't let them know that I was aware of what was going on, Cho said. I just tried to be silent, to be still. It was a small house. Their two daughters, ages 12 and 19, were sleeping. I was worried my wife will get shocked and feel more shame, said Cho. I thought it was better for her to know that I didn't know. I have questions.
I have
I
questions.
have so many questions and statements.
Ooh.
Cho's wife corroborated the story, adding in court that Lee returned in the following weeks and raped her 2 more times when Cho wasn't home, something she had never told her husband.
Jesus fucking Christ.
If you ever had reason to kill your best friend, like I feel like this is the threshold.
Yeah, I felt bad
You're
for
not
him
even
at
doing it as a
first.
favor anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, nah, dude, you're going down.
You're a
Calm
shit
down.
person.
You're a shit person. Yeah. But Cho did nothing. He did nothing. And obviously I do not understand that part of that. I don't understand Korean culture. I don't have a lot of education in it, but this is an aspect of it that
I don't understand.
I don't understand.
I mean, I can't throw too much. I'm not throwing any shade at his wife because there is hundreds of
No.
thousands of sexual assaults to go unreported in the US every year. And I think that we're more empowered than some
Most.
cultures. But just the fact that he laid there didn't.
He did nothing.
Just stared at the wall, pretended to be asleep because he didn't want to bring more shame to his wife.
Or if he stopped.
How
it,
is
I
it?
feel like
There's
that's
no
less
shame on her end. There's
not.
zero shame.
There's zero shame. Zero shame.
All
there.
the shame on you,
And
bro.
both of them. So the next day, Lee bought Cho's wife a $3,000 kimchi refrigerator.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing. She'd always wanted one, specifically to keep fermented vegetables fresh. So she'd always wanted one. I think this was his guilty conscience, like, oh, I'm going to buy you a fridge to keep you
Yeah, you know,
satisfied.
that totally negates rape is
Yeah.
kimchi fridges.
Well, now
Yeah.
she has something tangible
That-
to look at to remind her of.
oh,
being-
good. Yeah, every day I can look
Every
at it
day.
and think about that moment.
So-
Super excited.
Afterward, Lee and Cho somehow continued to hang out. They went to karaoke, they went out to sushi dinners, they were holed up at
Look,
bars.
maybe they had a really great duet that they did at karaoke that was hard to look at. Maybe they're great at summer nights together.
I mean, I'm not making excuses for anybody, but I will say I don't, like you said, understand the culture. And so I wonder if it was just kind of this thing happened that is very shameful. But if I say it didn't happen, then it's less shameful.
Mhm.
Because that culture is
And correct me if I'm wrong, but if a woman is raped, it's victim blame,
yeah.
Yes.
you know, and shame on her and her family and her,
Yeah. Now
you know,
she's
now
now she's tainted.
she's tainted, she's,
Yep.
okay.
Sorry, AJ, I just looked at your notes. What the fuck, Joe?
Fuck, Joe. So at this point, they start to plan Lee's death.
Mhm.
So Lee,
yeah, same.
I am
was
also doing that
yeah.
currently.
They bought a gun and he took Cho. So Lee took Cho to a local shooting range to practice on two separate occasions. And like, what the fuck, Cho? What the fuck? Oh my God. The two even went to Walmart. Cho said to buy shoes and gloves. Here's the trigger warning for racism, ladies and gentlemen, and neither or both. Because most Asians have the shoe size between 7 and 8, he wanted to make it look like it was a Black person.
Why?
Cho said.
Dude.
Why?
A lot of Black people are athletes and they have large shoe sizes like 14 or 15. So he wanted to make it look like it was done by one of them.
Doesn't
quote.
Shaq have like a shoe size of 15?
I believe his shoe size is 22.
15 seems like
15 is enormous.
above average.
I knew a
Shaq's
guy
shoe
who
is like
wore
a
a size
22.
15.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, no, not like that. Not.
Do you have big socks?
Yeah, you know what they say about guys who have really big shoes. They have big socks as well. Yeah.
Really large toenails.
Very. Ew. Imagine some guys like, yeah, I wear a size 15. They pull it off, it's nothing but toenail, and you're like, ew. Just they're all curly. Just
A little grooming goes a long way, boys. Okay,
Yeah,
that's all we're saying.
but genuinely, no, it was somebody I went to high school with who was 6'11", and he wore a size 15 shoe.
Jeez. Why is it every time? It's like, we're going to blame the Black people. Why?
Yeah, and
Why?
they're like
It's so
designing
not
their things to make it look like this was a rationale in their head that they believed was gonna pan out. The men scouted locations for the act itself. Lee was heavily into feng shui. Oh, good. I'm glad
Well,
he was into
great.
He's working on
meditative arts. He's working on
He's
his
working on
chi.
himself. Yeah.
And wanted to die near water. According to the feng shui,
Mhm.
feng shui, if he dies near the water, then his soul goes to a better place and his descendants will also be blessed. Said
So
Cho.
kill him in the desert.
Yeah,
Yes.
because he's super concerned for his soul after raping. And you know that was not his first
It couldn't have
course not.
been.
incident. Why
You're
not?
not that
if he's-
bold.
Yeah.
So, side note, obviously, in what we're discussing, the role of shame in Korean culture figured prominently into Cho's defense during the trial. It was the reason why Lee couldn't take his own life, the reason why he asked Cho to kill him, and the reason why both Cho and his wife kept silent about the rape. So the shame piece it was very heavy for the defense when defending Cho in court, and it was backed up. There's shame in all cultures. Detective Trapp. We'll get back to Detective Trapp. She's amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
Love a good female detective.
Yes, she's awesome. Trapp says dismissively, rape is a perfect example. A sexual assault is commonly not reported by women because of the shame or the stigma of not wanting anyone to know this terrible thing that has happened to them. A lot of things they spoke about at the trial. So, and I don't think that's specific for Koreans, just
No,
on
I
a
think that's in
serious
general.
note. It's in general, it's across the board. There's a lot of stigma and just all encompassing feeling of shame for women who have experienced these kinds of assaults, and that's all I'm going to say about that. When Cho arrived, so Lee calls Cho and is like, hey, like, I'm ready, let's go. So Cho arrives, and Lee gets a rental car,
Mhm.
so that it's like less traceable. And they make it look like they were trying to change a tire. And so Lee told his friend to step in some dirt with the shoes that they bought, the very large shoes from Walmart. And Lee laid down and Cho took a step back to leave a large footprint and make it look like he'd been attacked. But they sat on the curb, they talked a lot, they talked about their kids, and he was thinking maybe if he thinks of his kids, he may not kill himself. So Cho is like, if I keep getting him to talk about his family, he'll change his mind. You know, you've got kids to live for, like, I don't want to do this. So there was a bicyclist that rode past, and Cho suggested, like, we can't do this right now. There's too many people around, like, so that, like, abort mission. But Lee said that he didn't care and that you have to do it today. That's what he said. So Lee knelt down in the street and picked up the gun, handing it to Cho. Lee was crying and praying, according to Cho's testimony. He held his hand and he held my hand and he told me, if you shoot just one shot to the back of my head, I will go without knowing, Cho said. Cho was standing behind Lee, who was still kneeling. So the car in the police evidence is like up against a curb. There's like clear water to the side, like they're in a really open place in Anaheim. And the body is like between the curb and the car with a white sheet. And like there's obviously looking like they're trying to change the tire or something's wrong with the tire. So that's kind of the setup. So Cho was standing behind Lee, who was still kneeling, and Lee didn't want to feel the gun against his head, the feeling of the cold, Cho said. Lee asked if they could just keep talking, if Cho could shoot him while they talked. Cho said he was crying, begging Lee to let him off the hook. That's when, according to Cho, Lee turned around angry, and he brought up the night in Cho's bedroom. He said that he'd raped Cho's wife more than once and that he would do it again, and then he threatened to rape Cho's daughters.
He is not a good person.
At that moment, Cho heard the train coming. The sound he thought would mask the gunshot, and then he pulled the trigger.
As one does.
Lee's alleged threat to Cho's wife and daughter in those final moments became a pivotal point in the trial. Cho had never mentioned it until he was on the stand. He had told police everything else, but he never told them that part. And so like mic drop, courtroom, no one had heard that piece. He had not told Detective Trapp about that part of the story. So there's two theories here. Like Detective Trapp is like, I don't believe this. Like he could have told me way in the beginning. Like, why didn't he share this information? And then the other side of it is like the shame in that culture is so profound that was
maybe
he couldn't bring himself to even say the words. Like he couldn't say that this man was like threatening yet again to rape his family. And it was just too difficult. And like he breaks down in tears on the stand, and there's pictures of him just like crying on the stand. So after a 2-week trial, they convicted Cho of voluntary manslaughter and sentenced him to 10 years in state prison. And so that was back in 2017. He had some time served, and he was most likely going to be released in the fall of 2019. I couldn't find much more about him, like if he'd been released and where he had gone, and I couldn't find his wife. I couldn't find anything. Like her name is protected. All of that is
witness
protected.
protection program kind of a thing.
So I killed my best friend because he told me to.
Dang.
I'm not going to say that sounds undeserved.
No. Also, wouldn't it be fun if the witness protection program, literally, they bring you in, it's like very serious, and they just hand you a fake mustache, and then that's it.
That's all it is.
And they're like, well, best of luck out there. And you're like, what about, yeah, no one will know. No one will know it's you.
It's you.
I all of a sudden don't look like me.
They just give you glasses.
No, the glasses with the nose with the mustache.
Now I am unrecognizable.
Okay. Oh my God. First, yeah. I was about to say, wait a second.
So I want to take like 30 seconds because I have to mention Detective Trapp. So this was her first homicide case when she was on the Anaheim homicide part of their police force. She is a badass bitch. This was her first case. There is a podcast about her that is Detective Trapp. It's 5 episodes, and she finally puts to bed this serial killer in Arizona that had been murdering and raping sex workers in that area. And it's an incredible podcast. Detective Trapp, badass woman. I get goosebumps just like, so she's awesome. Cool. So Detective Trapp, this was her first one brought in, and she was a pivotal player. This was her first one that she wrapped up. So gotta give a shout out to that.
She trapped him.
She trapped him.
She set a trap for
and that's
justice.
my case.
Yeah.
That is my case. That was a doozy.
That had all golf snap, jazz hands.
That
had all the things I don't like.
There were some justified trigger warnings there. Okay, so give me a second while I'm pulling things up on my end here.
There's so many. I'm just keeping all of my.
Okay. So welcome to the bakery, y'all.
Good, I'm hungry.
Yeah, because the reverse shit sandwich, because that was a lot of shit to start with. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
So I have mostly followed the assignments. Mainly.
I can't even talk shit. We did 1920s female gangsters, and I was like, she was born in 1933.
Rogue. You went rogue.
She went off the rails.
I saw the Jewish part, and I just went with it.
So I do have 3 slices of bread today. And we are going to be starting with the most recent. And again, they loosely follow the topic mostly. And some of these are titles that I made up myself, or some of them are titles that were in the news. So you can guess which one is which. But the first case we're going to be talking about is coming to us from Erzurum, Turkey. And obviously destination spot, July 2019. We're gonna be having a little pillow talk.
Oh.
So there in Turkey was a 24-year-old named Zafer Kuzi, who had been sentenced to community service after he had caused some kind of wounding to another person in the northeastern Turkish city of Erzurum, right? So apparently he did not like doing community service.
I mean, same.
Like also same, but it didn't look like it was going to be a whole lot, and I couldn't find exactly how much, but he did not want to do the community service. So he decided a better idea was that he was going to gather together 2 of his other friends and ask them to shoot him so he could avoid community service.
How long was the community service for?
I mean, I've
Not
done worse for less.
So
yeah,
I guess
fair.
the thought was he didn't want to die, but he wanted to be hurt enough that he couldn't do community service. So brilliant Zafer here strapped 2 pillows to his back to shield the bullet.
They shot him in the back.
The bullet.
And they thought pillows would.
And pillows would be the appropriate way.
Science, duh.
It's science. It's pillows, obviously.
It must work.
It's just, see, now that
Why
would
are we
be
outfitting our men and women of, protective forces with pillows?
Okay, like legit, if pillows actually worked, I would love to have 2 pillows strapped to me, and the shit I have to actually wear, it's heavy.
This is what I'm saying is I'm kind of like, and then we discovered an amazing new use for pillows.
Yeah.
They're being deployed tactically across the globe. So they got a shotgun. He got his 2 friends.
The 2 standing orders.
And he strapped 2 pillows to his back. And one of the friends shot him at close range. And surprise, y'all, the wayward buckshot seriously injured him.
You don't say.
So police arrived on scene, and they did try to get him to the hospital, but unfortunately the wounding was too severe, and so he died.
Oh my god!
I didn't see that coming.
Oh, yep.
I kind of thought he might
24.
have
Oh, he should know that.
And the 2 suspects were interrogated. The guy who did the actual shooting was found guilty, and it just said reprimanded.
Huh.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if they were like, hey, stop it.
No. Don't do it again.
And then the other guy was released on bail. So just to the community service, you just pick up a little bit of trash on the side of the road, go go work with some kids.
Or are we thinning out the gene pool?
We might be thinning out the gene pool here. Yeah, they did, but yeah, they tried to save him, but he died before they left the house. And
Wow.
I hope that you have better luck in the next life, Zephyr, and that there's no community service in
That's
wherever you
so
end up.
extreme.
Yep. So that is case
That's our
number
first
1. That is first piece of bread is
All
pillow
right.
talk. The next one, we're going to be taking a little step back. This is November of 2017. This takes place in Russia, one of our favorite places.
I can't wait to hear you pronounce this.
Oh, it's never good. But we're going to be talking about why it's bad to photobomb.
Okay.
So there is a 26-year-old named Alexander Chechik, who was found dead in his car. And it was apparently a very difficult and traumatic discovery because he was blown to bits.
Wait,
It was just an exploded person
In his
inside of the car. Yes.
I have so many questions.
So they were very puzzled by this and could
Same.
not figure out what on earth had happened. Man alone in car, exploded everywhere. No idea why.
Did he eat Pop Rocks and Coke?
Mentos.
You know what? We should just skip to the end. We're done with the case. That's
Dang
what
it.
happened. It was so when they searched his phone, that is when they got their clue about what was going on. So he had been talking to a couple of friends. One friend had messaged him, "Where are you? Are you okay?" And he then had sent a picture to multiple people of himself holding a hand grenade with the pin removed.
You did not make a photobomb joke. I hate you.
Just put that together.
Love you.
I mean it.
So he had sent this picture to multiple friends because he was trying to impress his group of friends.
Oh.
So when I say that this loosely ties to it, it's that because these were his best friends and he wanted them to be impressed, he then did something. So it was the pride of the, we're tying it together. It
Question.
makes sense.
I know
Yes.
he's in Russia. Where did he get a hand grenade?
That is a great
The black
question.
market.
Obviously.
Yeah, so he was posing for the
That's where we get our birth control.
Damn near.
I have no idea. That's the thing. So this is my, okay, I'm going to tell you my favorite part of this. So I shouldn't have a favorite part of this, but I do. So yeah, he had this brilliant idea to remove the pin for, extra oomph for this picture. His friends were like, so one message said, "Listen, don't do stupid things. Where are you?" So according to the investigation, apparently him and his friends had talked about grenades before, and he didn't believe that the grenade would explode until he actually threw it.
Oh, pumpkin. Love bug. That's not how this works. I mean, that's what happens in the movies, right? You have to throw it.
Yeah, you have to throw it for it to explode.
Maybe he thought he could put the pin back in it?
I mean,
and like reset?
No idea.
I don't know about Russian grenades, but I know for the ones that I've seen in the US, there's like a little spoon. And so
Yeah.
you hold the grenade with the spoon still in, and the spoon coming off is what makes it explode. So you can take the pin out and hold it for however long you want. But once you throw it and the spoon comes off is what makes it explode. But I don't know what he was holding.
Okay, this is an old school grenade. There's a picture. They have the picture.
Is it like the
text that he
pineapple
sent.
one?
Yeah, it's like the old school.
geez.
Oh yeah. So this gentleman, Alexander Chechik, rest in peace, says, and no, there's no appreciation for my rest in pieces joke.
I get it now.
I hate you
Okay,
guys.
I
You're
just
such
heard
a dad.
I just
You know
heard rest
what?
in peace. And that's where my brain stopped.
Says, and yeah,
I was thinking you were gonna like say like he had like bloated and decomposed and then like the gases made him explode. Like that's legitimately where I saw this going. I never thought a hand grenade was gonna play into like, let me show my friends how cool I am.
I have his hand grenade, but first,
first,
let me take a selfie.
Yes. Yes. Oh my god. Okay, so that is slice of bread number 2. Slice of bread number 3, we are going back to August of 2004, and this takes place in Georgia.
Georgia?
I get my peaches in Georgia.
Yeah, you do.
Girl,
I
you
don't
bring
know
your
that.
own peaches.
That's right.
So
I'm allergic to peaches.
so 21-year-old, a lot of dudes in their 20s doing dumb things. Mostly. Shocking, right? So 21-year-old named, let's see, there it is, John Kemper Hutchinson was out having a great time with his friend Francis Daniel Brom. These guys are clearly, those are such Georgia names. These are such Georgia names. Just, yeah, of course, John Kemper Hutchinson was out with Francis Daniel Brom, like as they do.
As one does.
So apparently they had been out bar hopping. They've been best friends since they attended high school together. They were drinking at a bar on Saturday night, and Brom started feeling sick. So I guess they were driving. They probably shouldn't have been. And Brom had been hanging his head outside of the passenger seat window.
Oh no.
Because he felt sick. And John Hutcherson had been driving slightly erratically when he hit a telephone pole support wire that decapitated Brom as he was leaning outside of the passenger window.
This was literally a movie.
Then Hutcherson drove the additional 12 miles to his suburban Atlanta home, slept in his bloody clothes, and left the headless body in the truck. didn't know that it had happened.
What?
At all.
No.
What?
Yes. So police, all they saw is there was a car, there was a headless body in it, there's blood everywhere. And they went to his house and he was apparently still covered in blood and visibly inebriated and confused.
Hey guys, come on in. Yeah.
Where's my friend at? Part of him is in your car.
Yeah, so he had no idea that this had happened. Decapitation happened. He kept driving. He was like, woo, what a night. Went inside, knocked out. And he apparently appeared remorseful after they explained to him what had happened. But he did plead guilty to vehicular manslaughter and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. They don't believe that there was any actual foul play involved, that it was intentional, but both family members of both victims are relying on faith to see them through this ordeal. It was definitely an unintentional murder of best friends, but investigators did say Hutcherson's blood alcohol level was probably more than twice the legal limit at the time of the accident.
Don't drive drunk.
So he really needed to keep his head on, and just make. I'm just gonna
if my head weren't attached, I'd lose it. I just lose my head.
Okay, so this is my other favorite thing. Is when I was researching, I found something that I really wanted to be a case, but it turned out to not be true. But I'm going to tell you about it anyway.
Slice of bread, 3.5.
And this is true Florida man.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
So this is a sort of slice of bread number 4. Again, spoiler alert, not true. But in Jacksonville, Florida, Jeff, who also can't spell. Okay, I have a problem with people who spell Jeff Geoff. Your name is Geoff.
Your name is Geoff.
Geoff.
Yeah.
It's Geoff. Geoff. So Jeff Gaylord, 37.
That's unfortunate.
Entered the sheriff's office and turned himself in for killing his best friend.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah. He stabbed his best friend repeatedly with a kitchen knife, cut up the body with a hatchet, and buried him in the backyard. And he said that he wanted the death penalty for his crime, preferably, quote unquote, right now. And the victim that we're talking about here is Mr. Happy, his imaginary friend.
Oh.
Gaylord said he killed his imaginary friend of 7 years for multiple reasons. One, for being messy. This is a quote. His room was a mess all the time with his toys and dolls, Gaylord told police. He left his empty vodka bottles all over the kitchen, never picked up his empty cocaine baggies, and left the toilet seat down when he peed. He messed up my apartment to the point where I just couldn't get it clean. Before Hap started doing drugs and acting weird, he was my BFF. Best friends forever. Oh. We'd go dancing, play on the children's park equipment.
Oh, of course.
Both huge fans of doom metal, listened to it for hours with the lights turned off. But apparently their relationship had gone south and hadn't had a real conversation in nearly a year. Apparently, Mr. Happy crashed Mr. Gaylord's Nissan Altima after they'd been celebrating his birthday at Hooters.
This is like a Fight Club situation.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So again, according to this unfortunately fake news story, he was taken into custody. They obtained a search warrant where they found drug paraphernalia and a machine gun.
What?
Okay, I just need clarification. Is the story in and of itself fake, or is just the fact that he has an imaginary best friend?
No, the story unfortunately was
the entire story is fake.
And I know, I'm
a little disappointed.
Sad.
I am too. I thought it was
know
true.
because I found this and I found multiple sources for it. I was like, yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. This is my favorite thing ever. I'm so excited. Snopes, they investigated. Not a thing.
True.
Not a thing.
Not a thing.
No. But I wanted to share it anyway because you know what? It sounded like a really beautiful friendship.
It does.
Until you start leaving his
And
cocaine
I
baggies
love
everywhere.
that he took ownership
He did.
over what he had done.
He did.
But
in
I also
theory.
get upset when empty cocaine bags, like just literally
pick it
the
up.
trash cans right there.
Trash cans right
Clean
there.
up your drugs.
Just clean up your drugs.
Clean up your drugs.
And also lift toilet
Also,
seat when you
don't
pee.
do drugs.
And if you can find somebody who loves
Okay.
Hooters and doom metal as much as you do, that's a
That's
keeper.
cool. That
That's
is a
someone you
keeper.
hold on to.
Mhm.
Give me those wings.
I mean, we all love Diane Ward. That's what
This is
bonds us.
true.
It's
This is true.
It's a weird thing like that.
So that is my 3.5 slices of bread
Well
for the
done.
bakery.
Well
Love
done.
it.
I loved it. Pillow Talk, Photo Bomb.
Photo bomb.
Photobomb
And what was the last one?
and it was oh gosh. Okay.
Too late. It's
Here,
gone
no,
forever.
no, I have it. I have
Hold
it.
on. It was
Oh no, unfortunately, don't lose your head.
Don't Lose Your Head.
Was my
Don't Lose Your Head.
was my title.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, all the actual titles were just headless body and topless car, which was pretty good, but not great.
Good, not great. Okay, well, I am here to bring it all the way back down.
Excellent. I mean, this is the reverse
As
shit
one
sandwich.
does. So I misspoke earlier. I was listening to Morbid and they covered the Slender Man stabbing where the victim didn't actually die. Mine totally dies. So
Spoiler alert, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers, because we're gonna need it. I was like, I like how none of us really felt the need to drink too much during the middle segment, but we still have wine for the third segment. We're ready.
I ran out while you were talking, and then I was taking selfies in a live video that I posted on our Facebook. So that's there.
You're welcome.
So I got distracted.
Okay, you got some.
But I got some now.
So I will be telling you the story of Skylar Annette Neese. On the evening of July 5th, 2012, Skylar, don't peek at the notes.
I'm not looking. I'm looking at your beautiful nails.
Thank you. I need to get them right down.
Your notes are so well done.
They're so
Just
pretty.
so nice.
So fun fact about Randi is when she gets her nails done, she will video call you and be like, I wanted to show you this picture as she puts her hand over that, or
Like I did
look-
my
look what
makeup today.
look at what I'm making for dinner as she
Yeah.
puts her hand
Look
over
at-
the
look at-
pasta.
My notes are just so great.
So,
All right. So on the evening of July 5th, 2012, Skylar returned home from her evening shift at Wendy's, said goodnight to her parents,
I'm hungry.
went to her room, locking the door behind her, and that was the last time her family would see her alive. So Skylar was born on February 10th, 1996 to Mary and Dave Neese in Morgantown, West Virginia. She was the only child. She was described as being very bubbly. She excelled in school. She was an honor roll student, and she wanted to be a criminal lawyer when she grew up.
heck yes.
Yes, queen.
Yes, queen.
On July 6, 2012, Skylar's father, Dave, knocked on her bedroom door to let her use the family car, but there was no answer and her door was still locked. So he used a coat hanger to pick the lock and saw that her bed had not been slept in, but she had a history of sneaking out. She's, I want to say 15 at the time, which girl, same.
That's normal.
Yeah. So she always came back home. She was still very reliable despite this. She maintained her grades. She had a job. So nobody thought it was weird at first. They didn't notice that it was weird until 4 p.m. Her boss called to say that she hadn't showed up for her shift. And this was very unlike her. Her dad noticed that her window was still open and there was a footstool under her window, which indicated, which meant that she probably was gonna come home that night.
Shown.
Look, I have a GED,
Showed us.
okay?
Hey.
Good enough degree.
Girl.
So the family called the police when she didn't show up for the shift. The police came and searched the room. They found her cell phone charger, her contact lenses, and her toothbrush, and there was not a change of clothes missing, which again meant that she probably was trying to come home that night. As news of her disappearance got out, the family received a call from Sheila Eddy, Skylar's very best friend. While sobbing, she told the parents that Skylar had snuck out with her and Rachel Schoaf the night before, but they dropped her off up the block from the house so her parents wouldn't wake up. Sheila said this ties back in later. They said they dropped Skylar off around 11:45, but at that point, no one had heard from her in around 18 hours.
Yeah, I think I know this case.
You probably do. So Sheila was always at the Neese house, just offering support to the family. She was so upset that her best friend was missing. She felt responsible.
Methinks thou protest too much.
Foreshadowing. So they managed to get CCTV video from a parking lot behind the house, and it shows Skylar getting into a pale 3-door car at 12:26. And remember, they said that they dropped Skylar off at 11:45.
Yeah.
So Skylar ran towards the vehicle. She got in the back seat, and the car left. The video. They couldn't make out to make him out of the car. So Sheila suggested that it could be a secret boyfriend that nobody knew about. Police.
What an interesting idea.
I have
Sheila.
several of those.
The secret
They're all
boyfriends?
imaginary.
And
I've killed them
Mr.
all.
Happy.
And I've killed them all.
I think that would be just so therapeutic to be able to like murder an imaginary being. Like I had a really bad day at work, bro. Sorry, you gotta go today.
Look, your cocaine baggies
I
are
think we
everywhere
got into
again.
something. I think we can start this.
Here's your imaginary.
Oh my
best
god,
friend.
can that be
Mhm.
can that be our side business? Is where we literally sell imaginary friends and we give them the opportunity and you can rent the space where you can kill them.
Yeah, just you have to clean up afterwards.
You have to clean up.
And we've lost all of our listeners.
Every single one. So police refused to issue an Amber Alert. Skylar was a minor at this time, but they wouldn't issue an Amber Alert because it appeared that she had left willingly, even though the girl is all the way
And
fucking missing
underage.
and underage.
And underage. Yep.
So in Star City at the time, which is the area that she was living, these alerts were not issued for missing children thought to be runaways or those who generally left of their own accord. Because yeah, those people don't need help.
Not at all.
Fuck those runaways.
They're not running away from something.
So Skylar's parents, so I will say that she grew up in a very normal household, no issues. Her parents loved her. Like I said, she was good at school. She had extracurricular activities. She had a job. So her parents were concerned for her safety, but they took comfort in Sheila's presence, who spent almost every day at the niece household comforting the family.
Oh,
So
that's
just
so nice
sweet
of
girl.
her.
She's so sweet.
She's so nice.
So cute, so sweet. Rachel, the other girl that was said to be with Sheila or Skylar when she went to that party, was at a church camp. And Sheila was so concerned for Skylar that she had a breakdown in Skylar's room. On July 11th, so this is 6 days later, local news agencies finally reported on the disappearance. Her parents went in. When the police wouldn't do anything, they went to the local news media. They started distributing flyers. So they were very aggressive with trying to get their daughter's disappearance
Out there.
A woman, this is kind of fucked up. This is actually really fucked up. A woman in North Carolina called in to report that she's seen a girl who looked like Skylar with a red hair girl, which matched Rachel's appearance. But as the family was on their way to North Carolina, the two girls were identified as runaways from another state. So they that glimpse of hope and then
gone.
nothing. Around this time, Rachel returned from camp and was interviewed from police. She appeared extremely nervous, but said she had not been at the party with Skylar, which is contradictory because Sheila said that she was
They were
there.
totally there.
In an attempt to narrow down their search, the police insisted Sheila take them on a drive through the route they took the night of Skylar's disappearance. Sheila navigated them through side streets and quiet areas until they finally arrived back at Skylar Street. But when they asked Rachel for the same information, it was a totally different story. She said that they drove the opposite direction and they took the road out of Star City, not back to Skylar's house. Police put pressure on Rachel, telling her that her story could easily be checked against CCTV cameras from the road in question, to which she responded, quote, "Well, I was really high, so maybe not." Which, okay, these are all teenagers.
Okay.
Police were suspicious of the two girls, but they couldn't get enough off of the CCTV footage to see what kind of vehicle it was. Rachel claimed that they went to Blacksville, which is a concerning name, to smoke marijuana, and then Skylar wanted to go to her friend's house to get more drugs, and Rachel said that they dropped her off, but then Sheila said that she left of her own accord.
So not matching up.
Not matching. 5 months after Skylar's disappearance, Rachel's mental health declined. She became violent.
It took 5 months.
5 months. We're 5 months now.
Wow.
She was admitted to a psychiatric hospital due to her violent behavior towards friends and family. She was discharged after 6 days and immediately went to the police. In the following interview, the first words out of her mouth were, quote, "We stabbed her." So
She just had to get it out. It was
Oh
like,
my God.
what?
yeah, because
Yeah,
these are
it's word
kids.
vomit.
Yeah, this had been
Trying
like
to hold that in for
on her
months.
mind for months.
'Cause
And
they
it was just like,
were-
she just had to get it out.
I'll talk about in a second. They were best friends.
Yeah.
Like through middle school, I think they're very
Very young high school.
very young high school. So Rachel recalled filling up Sheila's car with shovels, cleaning supplies, and a change of clothes. They hid knives in their hoodies and called Skylar to say they were on their way to pick her up for a joyride. The three drove out to Greene County, Pennsylvania, come on, I'm from Philly, do better. And pulled over in a rural area. The friends walked away into the woodland, and on Rachel's count of 3, the two girls viciously attacked Skylar.
But why?
I'll get there. Yeah. In self-defense, Skylar grabbed one of the knives from Rachel and stabbed her in the ankle, at which point she retreated. Sheila, however, remember Sheila, who's at the family's house,
Oh, that's
comforting the
comforting.
parents.
Girl.
She was just so upset by this.
Like Mary Bell.
disappearance. Yeah,
Going to visit the family.
exactly.
But not asking us many creepy questions.
Yeah.
Can I see the casket?
Can I see the corpse?
Are they
I just want
smiling?
to see the casket.
So Sheila carried on with the assault, stabbing Skylar over 50 times as she
God.
screamed, "Why?" So they're off of a road and they're like, all right, we're gonna stab her, we're gonna kill her, we're gonna bury the
50
body.
times.
50.
That is overkill.
That's
that is-
exhausting.
it's
How do you,
How do you?
I know, I would be
like,
tired.
Stab, 50 times. Like that's
especially a teenage girl, how do you have that kind of strength? So they tried to bury the body, but they couldn't get through the stony soil, so they just covered her up with branches and leaves.
digging a hole is hard.
There's a lot of
Not that I would
manual
know.
labor involved. But yeah.
At all.
No,
But
never.
anyway,
Mhm.
We've never had
Huh?
to
never
deal
had to
with
dig
that.
a hole.
So when
It's rough business.
it is a pain in the ass. So when asked for motive, Rachel said, quote, "We just didn't like her anymore."
What?
Yeah.
Can't they just ask her to sit at a different lunch table?
So there is, I wasn't going to include this, but there is some kind of speculation that Rachel and Sheila were in a relationship together. And this was, I mean, I feel like you would think that this is when being gay is more acceptable than it was in
Yeah.
previous years, but they didn't want it to get out. Middle school, high school is rough. And
It is.
there was speculation that Skylar knew about it and she was going to say something, but I don't know. I don't think I buy into that.
We just
I don't
didn't like her
buy that.
anymore.
I don't buy that at all. I
Yeah.
feel like that's
I think it's an excuse.
it's an excuse that somebody put on there in their story to spin it.
So it gets, well, it doesn't get worse.
Teenage girls are so great.
Teenagers
Ooh.
are so great.
So great.
So Skylar's body was officially discovered because Rachel told them where it was, like where to go find her. On January 16th, 2013, Sheila knew the body had been found, but she still kept up appearances on social media. She uploaded a picture of the three friends. We'll post pictures on our social media with the caption, "Rest easy, Skylar. You'll always be my best friend." After the body was
That
found.
is
Girl, that is
cold.
psycho.
That is straight up cold.
It
Like there's nothing going on in your brain at that point.
it gets better. So they went on this joyride, right? They're gonna go smoke weed, they're gonna go to this rural area, and they leave the car to go off in the woods of smoke. And Sheila and Rachel are just like, "Oh, we don't have a lighter." And Skylar's like, "Oh, I'll go get one out of the car." So she goes back to the car, and then they say 1, 2, 3, and they attack her. And that's when she was stabbed. A month before her eventual arrest in April, Sheila tweeted, "We really did go on 3."
Wait.
Wow.
Wait. What?
Yeah, she tweeted that before her arrest. Because that was the plan that they had, was one.
If
she. Oh,
if Facebook is the
dumb.
dumpster fire of social media, Twitter is like the piece of that's on
It's-
fire in the
it-
dumpster.
in the
It's the
dumpster.
bog of eternal stench
It's
from the labyrinth.
awful. It is.
That
It
is exactly what
The
it
bo-
is.
That is Twitter. It's the bog of eternal stench. Oh, I hate.
I do not have Twitter. We should probably get Twitter. I want to get Twitter.
We do
Don't
have
know.
Twitter.
I don't. I stay
We do
away.
have Twitter,
I
ladies
stay
and
away from the
gentlemen.
bad
Did you guys
place.
set up a Twitter?
We have set up a Twitter.
What?
I have not tweeted because I don't like to tweet,
I had no idea.
but I will get better at it at some point, and I
Pablo
will try
needs to
to.
just be our social media manager.
He does. He's gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna. put
Pedro's the
some-
best.
Pedro and Pablo, love those guys.
Love them.
We're
He's
gonna-
excellent.
Pete's amazing. Love Philip.
Philip's so great.
All right, so Sheila. All right, this is like I'm gonna go off on a small tangent. I don't know what the proper past tense version of pled is. Is it pled or is it pleaded? Because
pled.
Okay, because I was reading these newspaper
Like she
articles.
pled not
It's-
guilty.
Yeah, pled
Well, I
not
wrote
guilty.
Sheila pleaded. I have a
think you could
GED.
use either.
Good work.
I think you could use either. Honestly,
I always thought it was pled.
I could phone a friend if we want,
I know, right?
but I think it's either or.
Well, pleaded to
Pleaded
me
it,
sounds
did it.
ridiculous.
It does sound ridiculous, but
Someone say
so I
pled.
okay, yeah, let's go with pled.
All right, so Sheila pled.
Christy, if you're listening, help me out. At me,
Oh, we
Okay.
Also, we're here to provide group like grammar lessons for everyone
Yeah.
as well. So you're welcome.
but don't ask me because I can't spell.
Bourbon.
Bourbon.
Nope.
Bourbon.
I couldn't even spell the
Bourbon.
Wi-Fi password you gave me. I had to look at the paper because I was spelling that wrong too.
Did we already discuss how AJ was spelling bourbon?
We did.
We did in the beginning, but I I'm not as it's
Yeah, just a refresher for everyone that AJ couldn't find any of our pages.
Nope.
And it turned out it's because she thought that bourbon was spelled. Would you like to spell it, AJ? Please do.
I was spelling it phonetically.
Okay.
BURBIN.
Bourbon.
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 3 days of stressing me out. She's like, Randi, the pages aren't
find it.
live. I can't find them. I'm like,
where is it?
fuck, I'm looking at them. What am I doing wrong? After 3 days, I'm like, AJ, love, you are so pretty.
And smart.
And smart.
And pretty.
And pretty. Spell bourbon.
Nope. BURB. I couldn't do it.
And that's why AJ's not in charge of our
That's
social
why I'm
media.
not. No, I post pictures.
You do. Thank
I
you
do
for
the
that.
images.
Very
I'm
good
in the,
at
in the
pictures.
images. Yeah, I'm not the speller.
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, couldn't even spell Clementine. Anyway, moving on. I was spelling
So-
it with an I.
It's not with an
The end.
The
part
end is, but I thought the other parts were too.
Clementine.
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 Clearly, I have a problem with like bourbon, Clemen. It's an.
You do your eyes like I do my
Anyway.
commas, just sprinkle them everywhere. They just go everywhere.
Don't even get me started on the I before E.
Nope. Oh, speaking of which, look how you spell Sheila.
What's better than John?
Jan.
And Joff.
Joel.
Jash.
Joff and Jash. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Sheila, I'm not trying to rush through this, but I'm fucking starving. So Sheila pled not guilty to first-degree murder. And let's just kind of do this thing where they got cleaning supplies, they got the knives, they took her out. They had to convince her to go for this joyride. But she
And they
pled-
loaded shovels.
they loaded shovels,
They were
gloves.
prepared.
Mhm.
They went on 3.
They went on 3.
If you know of anything that is going to go on 3, that is premeditated. Like you're like, okay,
Because
we're
it's
gonna go
literally
on
a
3.
conversation.
It's literally
You-
a conversation.
you know
have
what
to
would've
have.
been fun,
We're gonna
though?
jump off the bridge. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Premeditated.
However, what I would love is if someone was premeditated but does it badly. They're like, okay, we're going on 37.
One
No,
Or they're
1,000.
like,
two.
so are we going
1,000.
on 3 or after?
And then
3?
Skylar Harris
Like,
is going,
on
why
or-
are you guys counting? Shh,
Is there
21,
an and beat?
22, 20. No, what are you doing? Shh, 23,
and
24.
and
Yeah.
is there like a down beat? All right,
Yeah, on 3 or after 3.
I'm
Am
gonna
I?
be terrible at this.
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't be a murderer. I'm paranoid.
Mm-mm.
So luckily she was. I don't want to say luckily.
I'm so sorry.
And 38.
Oh fuck, we missed it. Start over.
I've actually been in those situations. That's a story for another time. Anyway,
Where you counted to
continue.
37.
It was so many times counting, but yes.
All right, so Sheila did plead not guilty to first-degree murder, but she was found to be guilty, shocking,
Good.
and sentenced to life imprisonment. Rachel's confession and a plea of guilty allowed her a reduced sentence of 30 years. I need to do the thing that the other podcasts do, where it's like they'll be eligible for parole this year.
Yeah.
So she'll be eligible for parole in 30 years from 2013.
Math.
Math.
You do math.
GED. So following, I just want to say
College diploma. I can't spell. It's
GED is my excuse for everything. Obviously, I've said it
I
30
have
times
a
in this
genetic
episode.
disorder.
So David and Mary Niece are two of those badass parents that they continued on Skylar's legacy. So they initiated Skylar's Law, which amended the Amber Alert procedure for missing children. Because remember before,
They
if
tried to get it.
Yeah.
if they left willingly, or if they were runaways, you couldn't file a missing persons report for this child that was missing. Because I ran
It's a
away from
child.
home so many times as a kid. I had my backpack with my CDs. And I was like, fuck you. I didn't say fuck you. My mom would have backhanded me. But I was like, I'm running away to the park. And she's like, yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
I would
Where
run
are
to
you
the
gonna
stop,
play
the
the
stop sign.
CDs?
I would run to the stop sign, but I wasn't allowed to cross the street. So I'd just be angry at the stop sign blaring at my house.
Me.
I was like, but I wasn't gonna break the rules. You know what I mean? Like,
That is so you. Oh my god. That is so you. And
I'm
I
a
can-
rebel, kind of.
Look
Sort
at
of.
at the stop sign.
I'll show you at the stop
Yeah.
sign.
All right, so Skylar's Law, so this modification meant that an Amber Alert is to be sent out for any missing child, regardless of whether or not they appear to have vanished by choice. The couple believes that if this modification had been in place when Skylar initially disappeared, she may have been found much sooner. Because mind you, it took, what was
5
it?
months.
5 months to
before
find her body.
Rachel like
Word.
finally confessed.
So that is the story of Skylar Annette Niece.
Oh, golf clap, golf snaps, golf hands.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because you hear so many stories about these. I mean, I ran away from home to get away from my mom when I was 16, and I don't know how I didn't end up dead because I was hitchhiking. This was in 2001, and I was hitchhiking to like get away and all this other stuff. And she didn't do anything to report me missing. She didn't care, but I could have, it ended well for me. So it blows my mind to be like, oh, well, yeah, she's 15, but she obviously left on her own. Like, bro, she's 15.
She's
They're
15.
he or she, they,
She's
them,
15.
they're 15. They need help.
They need help. Like, it's
Well,
kind
it ties into the story that we heard last night at the Stanley. We forgot our shout outs.
we do have some shout outs.
We have some shout
shout-outs.
outs because we spent some time at the Stanley Hotel last night with an incredible human being.
Yes,
And we
our
learned
tour
some
guide.
very
Beautiful
fun stories.
Beautiful.
I
Human.
have my I don't have my dum dum lollipop to show. Like,
I still
I
have
ate mine.
mine. Did you? You would.
What?
So
We
what
can't
was
eat
our
the
tour?
haunted
so shout out to
lollipop?
Lorick.
Hi,
Hi
Lorick.
Lorick. Hi Lorick.
We love you.
We love you. You are amazing. You made the tour just so awesome
And creepy.
and creepy.
I had
That
weird
we will
dreams.
post photos on
Yes.
on our Facebook page, which we can find us on Facebook at
Bourbon, Wine, and True Crime.
You can find us on Instagram at,
Bourbon, Wine, and True Crime.
and you can watch us. Hopefully, you're watching us now on YouTube. Also, search
Bourbon, Wine, and True Crime. And you can also email us at bourbonwineandtruecrime@yahoo.com.
So we wanted to shout out Lorick. He was so awesome. But we have a couple of other shout outs. Shout out to one of my high school buddies, Michelle. Thank you so much for favoriting us on Anchor.
I didn't even know you could
We
do
love
that.
you. I didn't know either.
Thank you, Michelle.
And I want to just say Michelle is one of the most badass moms like on the planet. She just,
Can she adopt me?
she's incredible. I need, Michelle, I need you to write a blog so that I could just laugh hysterically at your everyday
Antics.
shenanigans. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Michelle.
And we also have a new Patreon. Hi, Wendy.
Thank
I will see you Friday, Queen. Wendy's, her husband Tony is also the one that did our logo.
Oh, nice.
And
You guys rock.
yo, Wendy's a super fan. She's like,
Yes.
I love the episode. I'm like, I don't remember what we recorded. She's like, you said this. Like she loved the 1920s slang.
That was good.
Yeah.
So thank you, Wendy, for your being a donor.
Patreon.
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 So we're going to record our next episode, hopefully in the next couple of days. And thank you for listening, everybody. We love you. Continue to like, share, and subscribe on all of those platforms.
Leave us a nice review.
Leave us a nice review. Please, please, please talk about it. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
We love you.